The moment was quiet, almost too quiet. But what X said next shook the entire room, and then the world. It wasn't a press conference. It wasn't a planned moment. It was a whispered sentence that felt like a prophecy. Elon Musk looked over at his son with that half-smile, unaware that history was about to be written through a child's voice. Dad won't always be here, but his dreams will be. That's what X said, and everything froze. The camera crew forgot to press stop. The lights flickered, and a message destined for millions was born. In a world obsessed with noise, X's calm prediction hit like thunder wrapped in silk. This wasn't just a father-son moment. It was legacy in real time. It was the future whispering through innocence. It made headlines. It turned into murals. It became the conversation of dinner tables and boardrooms. A boy had spoken what even philosophers hesitated to say. That time is short, but vision lives forever. And from that one line, a movement began. Not about Elon, but about what he represented. Before we continue, we'd love to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments below, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe. For more inspiring stories, X had watched his father talk about Mars, Neuralink, Tesla, and AI. But what caught his heart wasn't the tech. It was the dream inside the tech, the idea that humans were meant to push boundaries. Elon never told X to follow him. He just lived like a man who had no reverse gear. Late at night, X would sneak into the home lab and watch blueprints light up like constellations. He'd ask questions not many adults dared to. What if we mess it all up? And Elon, always honest, would say, "Then we try again, son. We always try again." This planted something in X. Not a fear of failure, but a commitment to keep building. Most kids his age played with toys. X played with thoughts that could alter the trajectory of nations. The dream was never about rockets. It was about the courage to aim for them. And now that dream was being passed, not in a will, but in words. It started as a private father-son conversation, but somehow the mic picked it up. "He may not finish what he started, but we will," X said, unaware that it was being recorded. Those words were raw, unplanned, but they echoed with the weight of destiny. When the clip leaked, the world didn't laugh. It listened, and then it paused. It wasn't about technology. It was about inheritance, the emotional kind, not the financial. Suddenly, people everywhere looked at their own lives. What am I passing down? X, unknowingly, became a mirror. His words turned audiences inward and then outward again. Talk shows debated it. Social media reposted it. But the truth stayed simple: vision matters. In a time of trends, X's words weren't a hashtag. They were a heartbeat. And the world leaned in, not because of who he was, but what he represented. They said he was too young to understand ambition, but they hadn't seen the fire in his eyes. When he spoke about his father's dreams, it wasn't recitation. It was revelation. "Dad builds for tomorrow. I want to build for what comes after that." Every line he said was a spark, and every spark lit a mind watching at home. He didn't want fame. He wanted continuity. The idea that nothing truly ends, it just evolves. In every pause, there was a plan. In every gaze, a galaxy. Teachers said he thought too big, but X knew that size was never the enemy of truth. This wasn't about following Elon's path. It was about creating the next one. The boy was never playing with ideas. He was welding them into a future. And the world saw something rare. Not a prodigy, but a purpose. After the viral clip, X was asked what he meant. He paused, smiled, and said, "Watch." That wasn't arrogance. That was assurance. He knew that ideas were best shown, not said. Elon once said, "I don't believe in legacy. I believe in impact." X took that to heart. He wasn't trying to preserve a name. He was trying to protect a mission. He started drafting designs, not for rockets, but for systems that made life easier, fairer, safer. His mind, young as it was, carried a clarity most adults lost in cynicism. "The future isn't waiting," he said. It's already listening. The road ahead was long, but he wasn't walking it alone. Millions were now watching, not out of curiosity, but out of belief. Because one boy reminded the world that even the future needs someone to believe in it. First IT started with a whisper, a tiny moment in the schoolyard. Elon's son X told a friend something so unexpected, the boy's eyes widened. One day, my dad will change everything. But not just with rockets. The child froze. Those words didn't come from a normal 7-year-old. He wasn't boasting. He wasn't bragging. There was clarity, like he saw something ahead that none of us could even begin to understand. Teachers overheard, shrugged it off. But that same friend told his parents. And those parents tweeted. And the tweet exploded. Elon saw it the next morning. A post that read, Musk's son claims he knows his dad's real mission. It's not what you think. He read it 3 times, then stared off. The post wasn't wrong. X had never told Elon what he truly felt. Until now. That evening, Elon walked into his son's room. Quietly. He sat down. What did you mean? He asked. No screens, no noise. Just silence. X replied without hesitation. You're not here to just build. You're here to wake them up. One spark at a time. Elon blinked. For the first time in years, he felt chills. Not from a launch. Not from a success. From a child. That night, he didn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, haunted and hopeful. Maybe his son saw something in him. He couldn't. The invitation was strange. A quiet dinner with someone Elon had never met, someone X insisted on inviting. He has answers, X said. Real ones. Elon hesitated. His schedule was insane. But something in his son's eyes made him agree. That night, they sat down at a small table. The guest was older, soft-spoken, with a calmness that disarmed even Elon. No pitch. No agenda. Just stories. He spoke about vision. But not for tech. For humanity. About how every generation chooses, build higher towers or deeper roots. Elon listened, then challenged. But what if they don't want either? What if they want distraction? The man looked at X, then back at Elon. Then you must be the contradiction. X just smiled. Like he'd heard it all before. Like he was waiting for his father to finally connect the dots. That dinner lasted 4 hours. But something shifted. Elon didn't leave with answers. He left with questions. Dangerous ones. And it was the first night in years that he prayed. Not publicly. Not loudly. But honestly. Sometimes change doesn't start with a breakthrough. Sometimes it starts with a bite of food, a quiet guest, and a child who sees beyond that IT wasn't supposed to be opened. X had written it for a school project, a letter to his future self. Elon found it by accident. He tried to resist, but the envelope was half open. And curiosity is a dangerous thing, especially for a father haunted by doubt. Dear future me, if dad forgets, remind him, it's not about Mars. It's about meaning. Elon stopped reading. His throat tightened. The handwriting was uneven. The words were too clear, too knowing. He thinks he's running out of time. But he's wrong. The world's just now ready. Elon gripped the paper. The boy had watched him so closely. Understood things even he couldn't admit. The last line hit hardest. And when he finally believes it, the world will remember more than rockets. They'll remember how they felt. That night, Elon walked outside. No phone, no press, just air and stars. He looked up, not at Mars, but at Earth, and whispered, do I even know what legacy means? Sometimes, the loudest wake-up call comes from ink and paper, written by hands too small to tie their own shoes. They never planned to be there. The car had a flat. The bookstore was a block away. So they wandered in. Elon walked past tech books. Sci-fi. But X pulled him toward something else. A dusty shelf. These, he whispered. Books about profits. Purpose. Pain. Elon raised an eyebrow. Why these? A voice chimed in. Soft, deep, unexpected. Because those are the only stories that survive. A stranger stood nearby. No name. No intro. Just a presence. He spoke of faith like it was oxygen. Not belief in gods, but belief in why. X listened like he'd known the man forever. Elon listened like he'd forgotten how to. They talked for 40 minutes. And not once did the man ask for anything. When they left, the stranger said only, "You're not too late. You're just waking up." And Elon couldn't shake the feeling that something holy had just brushed past him. In a bookstore, of all places, they didn't speak for most of the ride. Not out of tension, but because sometimes silence says more than sound. Elon glanced at X. The boy stared out the window, dreaming, thinking, maybe both. "You okay?" Elon finally asked. "I'm fine. Just wondering why you keep running from what you already know." The words hit hard. Not in anger, but in truth. Elon gripped the wheel. The road was clear. The stars above seemed brighter. "And what do I know exactly?" he asked. X replied, "That you're not building machines. You're building moments. Moments people will remember when nothing else makes sense." Elon didn't respond. He couldn't. The Tesla hummed quietly. But inside, a storm was brewing. Not of doubt, of realization. And for the first time, it felt right. Every hallway in Elon's home felt like a countdown. X wasn't just waiting for bedtime. He was waiting for a word, a touch, a sign. The mansion echoed silence. X stared at the clock as if it owed him answers. Why was time moving, but nothing around him did? Elon passed by him again, rushed, distant. For a man building Mars, he couldn't find his way back into a simple room. One night, X asked, "Dad, if time stops, would we still be too busy?" Elon's reply was a sigh. X just blinked back tears. In that silence, even the tick-tock felt loud, as if time itself was begging to be heard. But still, no one listened. Elon finally noticed the same bench, same posture, same little boy. And it struck him harder than a rocket launch. His son had been waiting every single night. "Why didn't you say something?" Elon asked. X simply said, "I thought you'd know." That sentence shattered something in Elon. He had solved equations no one understood, but missed the quiet heartbreak happening right beside him. That night, the clock didn't tick. Elon sat. No phone, no AI, just silence. But this time shared. X whispered, "Thanks for stopping time tonight." Elon replied, "Let's stop it together more often." Elon had inspired nations. His son only wanted one person to notice his idea. It wasn't a rocket, just a paper sketch he titled Home. While Elon was interviewed for breakthroughs, X's breakthrough was figuring out how to spell dad in Morse code just to get noticed. Everyone saw Elon's brilliance. No one saw X's quiet wish, just to have dinner with someone who wasn't always orbiting somewhere else. One evening, X showed Elon his rocket drawing. Elon smiled and said, "Nice." But X's eyes dimmed. He didn't want approval. He wanted attention. "Did you even look?" X asked. Elon paused. He didn't know the answer. That pause said more than 1,000 words ever could. X began building his own model. Not for fame, for connection. Every glue drop was a silent plea. "Dad, build this with me." Elon walked in one night. Saw the finished rocket. "That's actually brilliant," he whispered. "Took me days." X replied, "Took me years to notice." Elon confessed. That moment wasn't about tech. It was about time. It was about turning genius into gentleness. Elon knelt beside X and said, "You're the most important project I almost missed." X smiled and handed him the drawing again. This time, Elon framed it. Every night, Elon logged into something. Emails, servers, satellites. But this night, he logged into X. X lit a small campfire. "Want to see a real launch?" he joked, dropping a marshmallow into the flames. Elon actually laughed. "No tech?" Elon asked. "No tech," X said. "Just us." It felt like an alien planet. To Elon, but somehow more human than any he'd explored. They didn't talk about Mars. They talked about movies. Favorite cartoons. Dreams about flying, not in rockets, but in dreams. Elon shared stories from his childhood. how he read sci-fi alone at night. X said, "Sounds like me." That shook. Something. "I thought I was giving you the future," Elon said. X looked up and whispered, "I just wanted the present." Elon blinked. That hurt. But it healed something too. No metric, no algorithm. Just a kid asking for today. They roasted marshmallows. Laughed about nothing. No notifications, no alerts. Just crackling fire and two people finally noticing each other. Before sleeping, X said, "Best night ever." Elon replied, "Let's log in here more often." The next morning, Elon rescheduled his meetings and built a fire pit in the backyard. Elon stumbled upon it while searching for old files. Not a drive, not the cloud. An actual photo album X had hidden on a shelf. Each photo was labeled, "Dad's first smile," "Dad's promise," "Dad almost missed this." It wasn't an album. It was a diary of hope. There were no rockets, no Teslas, just park visits, burnt pancakes, bedtime books. Things Elon forgot. X remembered them all. One crayon drawing said, "My favorite invention, Dad." Elon stared at it like it was a launch code. But this time, the destination was home. "I made this for you," X said, appearing at the door. "For when you forget what matters." Elon's eyes welled up. "I didn't know you noticed all that," Elon whispered. X grinned. "I notice everything when it's you." Elon hugged him tighter than he had in years. This album weighed more than any rocket he'd ever launched. He canceled an interview that night and added a new photo, him and X, side by side, smiling. No captions, just memory. Elon put the album on his desk, not as decoration, but as navigation. "Every time I look at it," Elon said, "I remember where I need to be." It was supposed to be another product launch. But when X asked, "Can I come?" Elon didn't hesitate for the first time. On stage, Elon spoke numbers, metrics, goals. But X leaned into the mic and said, "Sometimes Dad just needs a hug." The room laughed, but Elon's heart didn't. It melted, because behind that humor was a history. "He builds things," X said, "but I just want him to build moments with me." The room went quiet. Elon didn't plan for that. You can't rehearse real. You just feel it. Cameras clicked. Headlines exploded. But in that moment, Elon only saw one thing, a little boy who wasn't afraid to love out loud. He pulled X close. "You're the best thing I ever helped build." The clip went viral. Not because Elon made a promise, but because X made him keep one. From that day, press events included something new. Time blocks labeled X time. And sometimes, when X wasn't on stage, his words still echoed, "Remember to build moments." The boy tilted his head up. "Look, Dad. That one," he said, pointing. Elon followed his finger. The stars shaped something that felt intentional. Elon's breath caught. It wasn't the stars themselves, but the moment, the silence, the wonder, the memory of what his mother once told him about signs. "Do you think Grandpa is watching from there?" X asked. Elon nodded slowly. "Maybe he is. Maybe he never stopped." In that quiet, under galaxies older than time, Elon felt smaller than ever before, and somehow more connected than he'd ever been. "The universe listens when you speak with love," X whispered. Elon didn't know where he learned that, but it brought a tear to his eye. There were no cameras, no tweets, no boards of directors. Just a father and son listening to the sky write their story. Elon had built rockets to escape gravity. But tonight, he realized, he had only just learned how to land. As they lay on the sand, Elon remembered his mother's lullabies, how she used to say the stars whisper to those who believe. And that night, X didn't just see a constellation. He saw his father's heart open, wordless and wide, to something far beyond Mars. That starlit silence said more than applause ever could. Elon walked into the church alone. Not as a CEO, not as a visionary, but as a father with too many thoughts and too little peace. There were no cameras, only the soft echo of stained glass dreams and the creak of old pews. X had drawn something, a figure kneeling. "That's you, Dad," he'd said. Elon had laughed, but now he carried it like scripture. He didn't kneel, but he sat. And for once, the silence didn't demand answers. It just asked him to feel. Is this prayer? Elon thought, not with words, but with that ache that says, help me hold what I can't fix. For a man who launched Teslas into space, the stillness of a dusty chapel hit harder than liftoff. An old hymn hummed from a speaker. Elon didn't know the lyrics, but the melody pulled him back to his childhood. He remembered a stormy night, his mother gripping his hands and saying, "When you're scared, speak like someone's listening." Elon never believed in the way others did. But tonight, he didn't need belief. He needed hope. And that small drawing beside him, that was enough gospel for today. Elon didn't plan to talk. He was waiting for his order, head down. But then she said, "Your son smiled at me yesterday." He looked up. She wasn't anyone famous, but her eyes had that knowing calm, like she carried years of other people's stories. "He said I looked lonely," she whispered. He held my hand like he meant it. Elon blinked. He hadn't taught X to do that. No manual, no podcast, just something good in the boy's heart. She reached into her bag and placed a tiny wooden rocket on the table. "He made this," said it was for someone lost. Elon smiled faintly. "He always gives the good stuff away," he said. "Doesn't ask for anything back." "Maybe he knows something we forgot," the woman said. "Maybe kids come with memories older than us." They talked for an hour. About loss. About space. About how sometimes the best inventions are soft, not made of metal. As she stood to leave, she touched his shoulder. "You raised something beautiful, even if the world never sees." Elon sat there long after, holding that tiny wooden rocket like it was worth more than Mars. Elon always held on too tight, to ideas, to timelines, to outcomes. But tonight, X asked him to let something go. "It's just paper," Elon had said. X smiled. "It's what it means that matters." They folded it together, wrote one word, "forgive," then carried it to the sea like a fragile secret. The waves didn't care about tech or tweets. They just kept moving, honest, free, unconcerned with applause. Elon hesitated. Then, with a breath that felt heavier than any launch, he opened his fingers. The boat drifted out, slow at first, then fast. The tide always knows what to carry and what to return. X squeezed his hand. "It's okay to stop building sometimes, Dad." Elon closed his eyes, not to escape, but to finally feel. The wind, the grief, the peace. And in that small act of surrender, he found something no algorithm could give him: release. For the first time in years, Elon smiled without tension. Because letting go let something better in. The mic was supposed to be off. The speech was done. But the crowd heard something raw, unrehearsed, a father's whisper. "You're why?" I kept going, even when I didn't want to. It wasn't meant for the world, but the world listened. And it broke. People tweeted it, shared it, cried over it. Not because it was Elon, but because it was human. In an age of perfection, the crack in his voice felt holy. X leaned into his shoulder, unaware of the millions tuned in. He just knew his dad was proud. And that whisper? It reached beyond platforms, languages, headlines. It reached hearts. News anchors paused. Influencers stopped scrolling. For a second, the world remembered what matters most. Elon didn't apologize. He didn't need to. Love doesn't ask permission to be felt. That whisper became a roar, not of tech, but of truth. The kind that saves people in silence. What did you think of this inspiring story where Elon Musk's son X spoke about the future of his dad, leaving millions moved? Where are you watching this video from? We'd love to hear your thoughts and location in the comments below. Please consider subscribing to our channel, liking this video, and sharing it with others to spread the inspiration. Thank you.